Hello everyone, I'm Kirsten, and in this video we're going to do a foam roller release to the hips. A lot of us have tight hips. We have them because we're sitting at a desk for too long, or we might be butt clenchers, or we might just be doing exercises that really tension up the hips, and we want to use a foam roller to find a way to relax them. So you can use a short one, or you can use a long one like me, but you don't have to have this type of long one. Let's begin. First one we're going to do is sitting on the foam roller with the, you're going to be just past the sits bone. You're going to have your feet together, take your hands behind you, and you're going to drop both knees to the side and your feet are stacked. And we're going to go right down as though you're trying to roll out towards the top of your pocket on a pair of pants. And we're going to roll out for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So once you've done this and you kind of know how to do this, you can see what feels good for you. I am moving a little bit on this. I am trying to get to some of those tighter areas. Kind of feels good in a weird way. Definitely some sore spots in there, right? But you don't want to stop on a sore muscle knot, because you can actually bruise the tissue. So just keep on moving as you go. So I think that's good. Now we're going to turn to the other side with again, the knees are together, and you're going to roll the other side and keep on going to relax some of those knots that are there. You can go right up to sort of the top of that pocket area, but you never want to go into the soft part of your waist. And I don't tend to roll out a lot on a bone because it just hurts the bone. So try and stay on the meaty, muscly bit. Okay. Now, when we do have a lot of trigger points on one side versus the other, often it'll be a sign that your pelvis is rotated. So you might want to have a look and think, oh, does one hip sit up? Does one hip sit forward? You can have a look in the mirror and see whether anyone else can see too. There we go. So that's that one. The next one we're going to do so that was the glute max. So that was to release some of the hip extensor tension. Again, with people who tend to be butt clenchers that tighten their glutes all the time. This one is for external rotators. One of them is piriformis. Some of you may be more familiar with the name of that muscle. We're going to cross over our leg. So the ankle is at my knee, and then I'm going to lower the knee that's up to the floor. Okay, so we're going to roll this way. Now I'm rolling from the sacrum, so the bony part at the bottom of your spine, and you're going to be rolling towards the hip socket sort of area. And if you have a sore piriformis, you will know when you're on it, because this one can be pretty tender. Not as tender as your iliotibial band, which we're going to be experiencing soon. So we're going to roll this one out again for about 30 seconds or so. And most of my weight is on my arm that the leg is tilted down on, but I'm really trying to keep my neck relaxed. I'm trying to keep my belly relaxed so I can kind of sink into some of that tension. Good. Crossing over now, taking the other leg, crossing it over the ankle, and then tilting the pelvis over to the other side. So I think I was in need of doing these exercises because some of these are pretty tight on me. So see how you go. You might find some are really much tighter than others. Some of these you're like, okay, well, this one's not so bad. But give it a go. See how it feels, especially when you move around and you see some areas that are a little tighter, because we don't move often on the foam roller enough. So you keep the kind of the oscillations going, but you're also trying to go around that muscle and see if you can find some of those trigger points. So usually with this one, it's more closer to sort of the side of the hip. Okay. Good, and then have a rest. Next one we're going to do is the inner thigh. This one's often missed by many people. They're not quite sure how to do this one. So we're going to put the foam roller this way, and we're going to lie so that we're lying parallel to it. You're going to take your upper leg, you're going to place it so that your middle of your thigh is on the foam roller. Now I'm going to have my opposite elbow down and my hand down on this side, and I'm going to be lifting up. So you have to have a bit of strength through your tummy with this one for sure. If you can't quite get it, you can just roll back and forth, leaving that other leg on the ground. But if you want to really get into those adductors, if you can lift up and be on the toe of the other leg and then roll, you'll really open up that adductor and get into it. So usually we find trigger points right near the top of, or like closest to the pivot bone. You'll find some trigger points there. Or the other one, I'm gonna slide myself over, is ooch, down near the knee. Don't roll the knee joint, okay? Stay away from that. You're, again, just rolling on the muscle. Okay, so this makes it a little more intense by opening up the pelvis. If that's too intense, then just roll this way. We're gonna do the other side now. So flip yourself around, get your foam roller back into position, take the thigh, put it over top of it halfway, come down. You can either be on your elbows like this or push up with one hand, be on the toes of the other leg, and then rolling back and forth. So I'm gliding my pelvis back and forth, kind of up, like above my carpet here. Okay, we're gonna get closer to the insertion, closer to the, well, the origin really of that muscle group, so right near the pelvis. Okay, oftentimes, like I said, there's really good trigger points there. And the adductors are one of the biggest synergists, biggest boosters to the pelvic floor, so they often get tight when we have a tight pelvic floor too. We're gonna roll back over. Let's find those other nasty points. Yowza, right by the knee. Okay, we're gonna roll those for a little bit. So again, you wanna roll each area 30 to 60 seconds. You don't wanna roll for a super long time. It's just kind of not so helpful. I remember one client, they rolled themselves for like 20 minutes and on their back end because it felt so good, they were so tight. But boy, oh boy, were they left with some bruises. So don't do too much, just be gentle with yourself. Okay, next exercise, or next roll, we're gonna do the hips. Okay, another really common area of fine tension is at the hip flexors. This one's a little bit trickier. People will do their quads instead, but we're gonna do the hip flexors. So we're gonna come down. You're going to place the one hip onto the foam roller, kind of again where the front pocket is, like in through here. We're going to be pushing with this leg. So this leg is up. The other leg is floating with a straight knee above the ground. The elbow that is one elbow's down and the other hand is down. So try and see how I'm positioned myself and see if you can reproduce it. My pelvis is probably about 45 degrees to the foam roller. Okay, so it's kind of diagonal on the foam roller. And again, we're just gonna move around gently and see if we can find some pretty good trigger points in there. Now, how often do you want to be foam rolling? Usually 2, maybe 3 times a week. You don't want to be doing the same area every single day. So we don't want to bruise the tissue. We want to be able to soften and relax into some of those tight bands. Good. Let's do the other side. I'm going to face you, so I'm going to flip around. From here, we're going to drop that right hip down, or your left hip, whichever one you're at. And then put your hand down, put the elbow down, and then rolling. Okay, so you can see that I'm not flat down like this. I'm not straight up and down. I'm about halfway down. Okay, and then rolling. So again, I can really feel how my right hip is much tighter than my left hip. So you think, oh, why is that? Do you have a leg length discrepancy? Is one side, longer than the other? Or do you just tend to sit at work with always twisted one way? Do you tend to hold your babies on the one side? Lots of different reasons why we tend to have one tight side and one not so tight side. You might be really dominant on one side and doing sport where you're always kicking with that one side, like say with a kickboxing. Okay, now the next exercise with the hips, the last one we're going to do, we can also do quads, but they're pretty simple. I think this one's a little more, because we really want to try to target the ones around the hips, is the iliotibial band. Now this one can be very sore, so we have different ways of doing it. We're going to take the foam roller. You can lie on your side. The foam roller is about halfway down your thigh. This leg, your other leg is across, so it's supporting you. And you are now perpendicular to your foam roller. So you're going straight up and down through the pelvis here. You're nicely resting on your elbow, so make sure that you don't have a sore shoulder. This could be kind of tricky. And we're rolling up and down. So this is kind of level A. all right, in intensity. So and sometimes people have to put this hand down as well because they need to, it's so tender, they want to take some of the weight off of that iliotibial band when they're rolling. Do not sit still on one spot. Please continue rolling up and down. The iliotibial band, it's like a Y shape, so it comes from the hip. So it has a piece that comes from the front of the hip, the back of the hip, and then it comes right down to the knee. And it's just a really common area for a lot of tension, especially if you have knee pain too. Like this one really can get quite tight. So from doing this, if you find that this is not enough, you can have both legs stacked and roll up and down this way as well. So you might find that oh, this one gives me a lot better relief than the other way of doing it. Let's do the other side. Iliotibial band is one of those ones where if you can only manage 15 seconds on it, that's great. But again, try and do it for between 30 and 60 seconds, I would say. Okay, here we go again. Rolling out. You might find the hip that is tighter at the front of the hip is the side that's more tight with your iliotibial band too. When you do this one, just check in with your knees and say, hey, I wonder whether my knees feel a little bit more comfortable now too. So this is with a standard foam roller. It's not the one with any knobs and things on it. Like, honestly, I guess can't take those. Those are just so painful for a lot of my clients and definitely for myself. This one's a fairly nice soft foam roller. It's got kind of a snake skinny skin on it. And then there's the melt rollers as well. And I'll probably be doing a video on that at some time. They're an even softer foam roller that you can really relax into as well. And it's just such a great way of getting rid of some of that tension that you might be finding in your body when you're moving about your day-to-day activities. Okay, let's have a rest from that. And that is the last of the hip ones that we're going to do today. Well done.